Today, we will shine a light into the darkness of a creepy underground cemetery together. Those who are afraid of the dark and the bones of dead people, please pay attention. A human bone may appear in front of us at any moment. Every year millions of tourists visit Paris to see famous sights such as the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre Museum and the Notre Dame Church. Also, those who follow fashion closely come to Paris to buy expensive, brand-name clothes. If you think it's just tourists having fun in Paris, posing on social media in front of the Eiffel Tower, you're wrong. Among the millions of tourists, some visit Paris's fearsome underground cemetery, which is essentially unknown. The catacombs is an underground cemetery of 6 million bones arranged in a row. What are people going through in this scary place? Aren't the visitors afraid? Who is it good for to go on vacation to Paris, spend a day in fear and have nightmares from time to time for the rest of your life? We are going to the year 1785, that is, to Paris 235 years ago. Before the catacombs, an underground graveyard, there was actually another cemetery in Paris. But that cemetery has caused a plague epidemic here. In 1785, the authorities decided to remove the tombs within the city to meet the need for new zoning. After the decision taken, this frightening underground cemetery was opened. 250 years ago, this was actually a 10,000 square foot old quarry. Skeletons in all the cemeteries of Paris. For 15 months, it was stacked in a row, only moving at night. The authorities did not want the children to be frightened, especially carrying skeletons during the day. At the entrance of the underground cemetery, the French poet Jacques Delille, who lived in the 1700s, "Stop, this is the Empire of Death." The letter was also hung. And welcome to the Empire of Death. By the late 1700s, all the cemeteries in the city were scattering disease. Hundreds of people have lost their lives due to germs scattered from cemeteries. Paris has officially become a cursed plague city. The plague-ridden cemeteries opened one by one, and hundreds of priests said their prayers as bones were carried to the quarry, which was counted very far from the city. These rituals performed when it gets dark are really the kind that will give a person goosebumps. It was forbidden in Paris to go and see these hearsay rituals up close. The rituals were performed secretly by the priests so that both children and adults would not be afraid. The work of transporting bones, which took 15 months, is finally over. When you decide to go to Paris today, you can visit the catacomb with tours organized by the municipality of Paris. The cemetery is located about 20 to 30 meters below the ground. And you won't believe it, this cemetery covers an area of 11,000 square meters. The municipal authorities give an important warning when welcoming you at the door. If you have heart disease, if you're afraid of enclosed spaces, we don't recommend entering here. To reach the creepy cemetery, you're going down 130 stairs to the ground. Imagine that you will get out of here again. Narrow, dark passages and stairs that you walk for 15 minutes, it's as if the voice of the dead is heard. Well, we advise you to look at this image carefully. What do you think the shapes look like? The secret of some symbols that appear in the underground cemetery consisting of human bones, especially skulls and the arrangement of thigh bones, has still not been solved. Written sources are actually shedding light on many of the secrets of history that are buried in the darkness. Let's try to solve the secret of this cemetery by going back to even older times, to the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, the principle of cremation of the dead appeared that when Christianity prevailed over paganism, it was necessary to bury the dead. The process lasted for nearly 700 years, and left the administration in despair as millions of dead people could not fit into the cemeteries that were opened in Paris. The French, who had insufficient knowledge and culture about the burial of the dead due to their new acceptance of Christianity, stayed around with the corpses in their hands. So if you think about it, the French, who are now taking full advantage of all the blessings of technology, did not know how to bury their bodies a few hundred years ago. The idea of a genius that lived in those years, let's move these dead people out of the city, really worked. The quarry, which reached 280 kilometers long, saved the lives of thousands of people who had waited in line to die from germs spreading from cemeteries. There are human bones around here for 280 kilometers. However, only a 2-kilometer section is open to visitors these days. Would you like to walk 280 kilometers through the bones of the dead? Parisians call this cemetery the Gate of Hell. In this catacombs, where one does not dare enter, there are occasional visitors who pass out from fear. It seems a little difficult to stay brave here with the darkness, the cold, and the terrible appearance of the bones. Walking around a cemetery with 6 million skulls in it isn't such a good idea. You need to be patient at the gate of the catacombs. The authorities are taking visitors here in groups of 200 so that there will not be a stampede in the underground cemetery. Do people really get happy seeing skulls and bones here? The catacombs are open 6 days a week, except on Monday. The temperature of the catacombs averages 14 degrees in summer and winter. Pay attention to your head when going down the 130-step staircase, because some places are quite narrow and low. Bumping into human bones might not be a good idea. A little reminder for those who are going to Paris and those who want to visit this underground cemetery: don't confuse the catacombs with the sewer museum. In both cases, even if you go underground to visit these places, the two are very different. The sewer museum was actually discovered during a sewer operation by coincidence. Particularly during the Great Plague, when not enough graves were found in Paris, the church's decision was to bury the bodies underground and cover them with lime. Years later, this event was noticed when the subway was going to be built. There were thousands of bodies underground. It was just beginning. The sound of moans rising from these graves during the time of the construction never stopped, allegedly. When you enter the underground cemetery, you will first be greeted by a gallery with large photos that tell the story of the catacombs. Go into this gallery and read the story of this place first. The next part of the exhibit that you're going to visit has some rather strange information. For example, you wouldn't believe it if we said that there was a sea in Paris about 45 million years ago, but yes, there used to be a sea in Paris. In the museum section of the catacombs, in the maps on the walls, you'll be surprised to see how far the sea has progressed in Paris, and even at some point is completely covered with sea. The blue sea of Paris has been wiped out by global warming. If you also remember the fact that the seas are starting to rise again these days, who knows, maybe the sea may come to Paris again.
Dark, tall, silent, full of fear, and the secret is never solved. In this episode we will be inside the mysterious tunnels from Europe to Turkey. What happens in the underground cities in Anatolia? Why were these cities built? Who lived in them? Do angels live inside the tunnels in Anatolia? In The Wise Octopus we explore the secrets of these mysterious tunnels. We are going on a mysterious journey from Bavaria to Cappadocia, from Austria to Derinkuyu in Turkey. Please avoid all distractions, phone calls, noise, and concentrate completely on this mysterious journey. Watch this episode carefully. Tunnels are generally passages created by excavation underground. Have you ever been in a tunnel? There are many unsolved events and structures in human history. It is stated that the number of these mysterious tunnels is at least 1,000. Mysterious tunnels have been built in many countries in Europe and Anatolia. Most of the mysterious tunnels are in Bavaria, Germany, about 700 of them. Another large number are in Austria, about 500 of them. While it is exciting to be interested in the unknown, curiosity reigns supreme and we ask, who built these tunnels? The dictionary meaning of the German word Erdstall is mine tunnel. However, the name mine tunnel is used for many man-made underground tunnels. Why were these tunnels built? Research and work has been carried out on the Erdstall tunnels for many years. It is not yet known by whom and for what purpose the tunnels, which are being researched with the latest wonders of technology, were built. Why can't the secret of these tunnels be solved? Erdstall tunnels are narrow and complex underground passages found in parts of Europe before the Middle Ages, especially in Germany, Austria, and Scotland. They are usually up to 50 meters long and their entrances are often narrow, steep, and difficult to access. There are many theories about the purpose and origin of these tunnels. Some of these theories include ritual and religious use. Some researchers believe that these tunnels were used for religious or spiritual rituals. The narrow and cramped nature of the tunnels supports the idea that they may have been a rite of passage for an individual to experience a physical and spiritual transformation. Allegedly used as a bunker. There is also a theory that tunnels were used as shelters. However, this theory is often criticized because tunnels are often airless and narrow. However, it is thought that they may have been used for short-term hiding or protection from specific dangers. Mining. There are also theories that some of the tunnels are related to mining activities. However, this theory is contradicted by the fact that most Erdstall tunnels are of a depth and structure unsuitable for mining. Transition to the other world. According to some beliefs, such underground structures are believed to be needed for the passage of the dead to the afterlife. This theory is based on the complex labyrinthine structure of the tunnels and the connection of some tunnels with archaeological finds associated with the dead. Alleged power lines. Some theories suggest that the tunnels are linked to energy lines or the cult of Mother Earth. According to these theories, the tunnels connect energy points or sacred sites. The theory of an alien race, the reptilians. According to some conspiracy theorists, these tunnels belong to the reptilian race, a shape-shifting race believed to live among us. Erdstall tunnels have one main feature that distinguishes them from other tunnels in the world. The structures of the unsolved Erdstall tunnels are very different. The mysterious tunnels are extremely narrow, oval, and have smooth walls. There are benches at the end of some Erdstall tunnels. It is hard not to wonder who sat in these dark tunnels, why, whether they wanted to rest or whether it was part of a ritual. Would you dare to enter these tunnels and sit on these benches? Let's continue to move further into the tunnels. Inside the Erdstall tunnels there are crossing points, which are presumably used to pass between lower and higher tunnels. The Erdstall tunnels have one entrance and one exit. This makes airflow almost impossible. So, did people live where there was no airflow? Or how did they survive in an airless environment? The archaeological findings on these tunnels are very scanty. For this reason, the construction date of the tunnels cannot be determined with certainty. In addition, there is no information about these tunnels in any historical document. Could it be that certain construction techniques were used to build these tunnels so that their secrets could not be solved? It is impossible for those with claustrophobia to enter these tunnels. Imagine, you are in a dark tunnel with no idea where it leads and why it was built. Moreover, you cannot stand up and you are crawling. It seems to us that one cannot crawl in this tunnel for 50 meters. An article about the Erdstall tunnels published in the German publication Der Spiegel in 2011 suggested that the tunnels may have been used for storage. Joseph Weichenberger, a historian researching the tunnels, says that the mysterious tunnels were built to hide farmers during the passage of marauding tribes and armies. According to the German researcher, the reason for the narrow passages between the floors was to prevent oxygen depletion. If one thinks that these tunnels were built hundreds of years ago to protect warriors from their enemies, or that villagers built them to hide from disasters and predators, there is a problem. Wouldn't the lack of air flow in the tunnels turn this shelter into a tomb for the person who tries to hide here for a long time? Some historians and researchers say that these tunnels were built for religious purposes and that people stayed in them for purification. Der Spiegel mentions that the tunnels could have been built as stations for the souls of the dead or as hiding places for demons and dark spirits. Even more interestingly, there are stories in Austria that the tunnels were built by demons. Others claim that these narrow passages are a kind of symbolic channel for rebirth. They claim that the narrow passages are used in rebirth ceremonies to cure patients of their illnesses. These narrow passages are closed to the public due to their extreme narrowness, but they can be seen by visitors in the tunnels at Perg in Austria. We talked about non-human beings. So let's go to Anatolia, to Derinkuyu. Please pay attention here. There are many underground cities in Turkey, especially in Anatolia, especially in Cappadocia, Kayseri, Yazgat, Kars and Mardin. We will take you to the most interesting of these underground cities, Derinkuyu, where angels are believed to live. This is Nevşehir Derinkuyu. It is rumored that angels and evil jinns had an incident here. We will tell you about this event in a moment. Derinkuyu has a structure consisting of 8 floors. This mysterious underground city has been open to visitors since 1967. Located in the Derinkuyu district of Nevşehir, the underground city, carved into soft, tough rocks, consists of rooms that can accommodate a large community. The first 2 floors of the city contain kitchens, cellars, wine storages and corrals. The 3rd and 4th floors contain living quarters, a large church, a conference hall, a missionary school, a confessional area and tunnels. A little deeper into Derinkuyu lie even greater mysteries. These tunnels are also thought to be connected to other underground cities in the region. In other words, there are mysterious tunnels and underground cities stretching from Nevşehir to Mardin and from Mardin to Kars. Experts are still working to prove these theories, because only a small part of the tunnels have been discovered. It is estimated that the 10-kilometer tunnel on the hair-raising 3rd floor connects to another city, Kimakli underground city. The first indigenous colony of Derinkuyu was Assyrian. Historians say that in the 2nd century, the first Christians fleeing the persecution of the Roman Empire came to Cappadocia via Antakya and Kayseri and lived here. An expert who has been researching in Derinkuyu for a long time and who wishes to remain anonymous said, the first Christians who built the underground cities in the region escaped Roman soldiers by hiding in these cities, which were built in such a way that the entrances were not obvious. Since they would have to live in the underground cities for a long time, they built food stores, ventilation shafts, wineries, churches, monasteries, water wells, toilets, hospitals for the mentally ill, cemeteries and meeting rooms. Most of the rooms are connected to each other by tunnels barely wide enough for a human to pass through. Over the years, there have been different ideas about these tunnels. Some say they were hiding places. Others say they were used for religious beliefs. But the most interesting idea is the one that makes you think differently. The tunnels, which are thought to have been built 12,000 years ago, extend from Scotland to our country and are said to have been used as an underground highway of the period. And this raises only one question. Could these tunnels have been built during the last ice age to survive the cold? Many of these tunnels, which stretch from the north of Scotland to the Mediterranean Sea, are 70 centimeters wide, which is quite narrow. When you enter here, you will see that it is only wide enough for a person to crawl through. Some of the sections are wider and have seating, storerooms, even rooms. We don't think anybody would want to go in here. It is stated in written sources that chapels were built at the entrances of these tunnels hundreds of years later. The reason for the construction of the chapels is considered to be that the church was afraid of the idea that these tunnels were inherited from non-believers and tried to prevent these thoughts. It is not possible for two people to pass through these tunnels, which are about 1.5 meters high, at the same time. When you enter these tunnels, if you meet someone, either you or the other person has to go back tens of meters. But the short length of these tunnels has not allowed their secrets to be solved for thousands of years. And here we come to the most mysterious event of Nevşehir Derinkuyu. It is claimed that there are unexposed floors of the Derinkuyu underground city. Now listen carefully. According to the legend, angels who flew to Nevşehir decided to live in this region, which they liked very much. Later on, malignant jinns also came here. The jinns wanted to destroy the angels. After a long struggle, when the angels realized that they could not cope with the jinns, they built the underground city and started to live here. Even more interesting is the claim that the angels still live here. We were here with a mysterious story that goes back thousands of years. If you liked our video and would like to see more content like this, please hit the like button and share the video link with your close circle. This way you can support our channel. Goodbye and see you in the next video.